Okay. Okay. I'll go ahead and show you how I would set up the database on my computer, and then if you have any questions, you can ask it after that. So let me go ahead and start sharing my screen here, and I'm going to do the MySQL workbench. Okay, so here's my application. I'm going to go to database and then connect to database. I'm just going to connect to my local instance of MySQL server that's running on my computer. I've already saved my password in here, so it should just connect, and it's going to open it up, and it's going to give me a query window where I can start typing in commands. Now the first thing that I'm going to do in here is I'm going to create a database. Now I can create a database in the query window here by saying create database and give it a name. I think over here we might also be able to just add one. Yeah, I could right click down here and do create schema and do it that way. I like to use the commands. That's what I'm used to. So I'm going to say create database, and I'm going to call it chap 7. So I'm going to run this by clicking the little run or execute icon there, and down here it tells me what's going on with that. It says 1 row affected, and so yeah, so the create database worked, and in fact I can see over here, if I refresh this, I've got a new database called chap7 because that's what I just created. Now, if I want to use that database to create content, I can type use chap7 and hit execute. And now I've selected that database and I can do stuff with that database. Now the reason I deleted the create database statement before I hit execute again is if I try to run that command again, it's going to give me an error because I've already created that database. I can leave the use chap7 command up here and it's not going to mess anything up because I'm just telling it to use that database when it does anything else. Okay. Switch back over here real quick and make sure. Oh. Huh. Okay. Apparently my screen is out of focus, so let me see. I'll move into a different room in the house. I think that my internet connection isn't great in this room, so let me just move here. Okay. This room should be a little bit better. Connection is. Okay. I'm gonna go back over there. Is the screen better now? Did the clarity improve any? My internet's. Okay. Can you tell me if it looks any more clear now, real quick, before I start going again with typing things? No? Okay. Well, even if it's a little bit fuzzy, you should be able to get the gist of what I'm doing here. So the first thing that I did is I did the query window and I typed create database chap 7 with a semicolon at the end, and then I typed use chap 7. Okay. Okay. Let me see if I can make it. I don't necessarily know how to make the text bigger on here. Okay. Okay. Can you tell me here? Let's try it this way. When you if you were to open your workbench and connect to your local database and type create database and then chap 7 and semicolon and then execute that, hitting the little button that looks like a lightning, can you do that and tell me what happens? Did you hear my question? Just want to make sure I don't need to repeat it. Okay. Can I just type in here? Okay. I just typed it in the group chat. I don't know if you can see the group chat. It's on my computer. There was a little button next to the, like close to the QA. It's up at the top. And this actually might be easier if you can type in here as well. Be easier than the Q&A, but if you don't have access to it, then yes, create, and then the word database, and then a space, and then I called mine CHAP7, so CHAP number 7, and then put a semicolon at the end. Similar to how I told you in the Q&A instructions. Okay, so the question is, when you type that into the query and then click the little execute button, which is the button that looks like a lightning, what does it do? Down at the bottom, does it say one row affected or query completed successfully or something like that? Okay. Now I want you to delete that line that you just typed, and I want you to type a new line that says use CHAP7 with a semicolon at the end. So use is USE, and then the name of your database that you just created. Again, I called mine CHAP7, and then a semicolon at the end, and then execute that one and tell me what it does. Perfect. Okay. Okay, so now what we need to do is we need to copy the text from the database file and paste it into here. Now, one thing to note, when I was in my office hours today, I had someone who was having difficulty with the database file, and I noticed that this is content that came with the book, and whoever made this file actually did something incorrectly. They used all lowercase table names in the create table statements, and then they used all uppercase table names in the insert statements, and that's going to cause an error because MySQL is case sensitive when you're using table and field names. So what I did is I edited that text file, and then I uploaded a newer version in the homework section in the data folder. Anyway, when we copy and paste data into there, that's the file I need you to use. I don't want you to use the one that was up there earlier today because that one will give some errors. The new one that I have up there will work just fine. So you might go ahead and download that file to make sure you have it accessible, and let me know when you have it downloaded. Yes, if you have not typed use database step 7 with a semicolon at the end, go ahead and do that and execute it. And let me know when you're ready to start pasting the code into your window there. Very good. That's perfect. Anytime you're going to work on this homework, you need to type use and then your database name and a semicolon before you start writing SQL queries. Because basically you're telling MySQL which database to use before you start doing things. So that use statement, remember that one because you're going to need it every time you want to start writing queries and working on this. Okay, so now we need to start copying from our text file into the workbench there. So I'm going to get into my text file, and I'm just going to take, okay, on the bottom left of your screen, you should see all of your databases. And because you just created this one, you are likely going to not see it until you hit refresh, which is just to the right of where it says schemas. There's a little refresh button. If you hit that, it should show that your database is in the list of schemas. Okay, I'm going to take the first create table statement, the one for LG brand, and I'm going to copy it, I'm going to paste it into my window, and I'm going to execute it. Can you see that? Okay. To speed this up a little bit, I'm going to go ahead and one at a time copy things out of that file and paste them into here and execute just to make sure everything runs correctly. I assume that maybe the fuzziness has to do with using the Google Live Hangout or the on-air Hangout. But I think it's recording to YouTube, and hopefully the YouTube version of it will be more clear so you can go back and view this. But I'm going to try to speed things up a little bit. And yeah, I'm basically just copying one section of text at a time. So what I copied was the create table LG brand all the way until you get the semicolon on the line that says engine equals NODB. But I'm going to go ahead and just record this and do all of the tables, and then I'm going to start in on the insert statements. You're going to paste it into the query window, the same place where you typed create database in the name of your database and then use in the name of your database. You can leave the use there. You definitely don't want the create database text there anymore, but that's where you're going to paste it. You don't have to do the tables one at a time as I'm doing it. However, I'll say you're less likely to run into errors if you take it a little bit at a time like this, and that's why I like to just take it one table at a time. Okay, and here's my last table, LG line. Okay. Now I'm going to start the insert statements, and I'm just going to take them one block at a time here. So I'm going to do all the ones for LG brand first. Okay. Run that. Okay. Now I'm going to take the ones for LG product. So quite a few of those. So let me get down to the end of them so I can copy them. Okay, here we go. Okay, it's those. And it's running. And MySQL is not super fast sometimes when you do large amounts like this. But it looks like it worked okay. So, and I can look down here at the bottom and see, make sure that everything worked correctly, and it does. It looks like everything did. So I'm just going to delete all that. I'll go back to my other one. Okay. Sorry, I'm coming back here and checking questions here. Okay. Erica, how about just kind of bear with me on this. I'm going to go ahead and finish creating all of these. It's going to be a little harder for you to follow with me, and I think the problem is maybe on your end with the internet connection. And so I'm going to go ahead and get all this done, and you'll be able to look at it in YouTube once it's finished. And hopefully that's going to be something that you can follow, and you can kind of play at whatever speed is easiest for you to follow. I kind of want to finish this part of it and then let you ask what other questions you had. Okay. That's interesting. There are places in here where the commands aren't perfect. It did a start transaction, but it never did a commit. So I'm just going to do the insert statements, which is just fine. It doesn't matter if you do start transaction and commit. We're not going to roll back anything in this. We assume that everything is correct. Okay, so now LG supplies is where I'm inserting. So I'm going to copy all the records out of that table, or out of that part of the text file. Oh. Oops. Okay, paste that in and run it. Okay. And I can tell up at the top here that my query is working because it kind of has that little working icon. Um, and it does take a little while. This data set, the large co, um, it's a fairly large data set, so it can take quite a while to run all these. It looks like it's working all right. Okay, looks like it finished. Okay. Okay, so now I'm going to get the LG department insert statements. Paste those in. That should go pretty fast. Okay. Now I'm going to get LG employee values. And paste them in. Again, this part itself can take quite a while, and I like doing them, one set of commands at a time, because then you can tell if you're having specific errors in there. It's pretty hard to see if you just copy everything at once and paste it all at once. Okay, looks like that one's finished. Okay, so now my next table is going to be LG salary history. Looks like salary history is a fairly large one again. Wow, it's a really large one. Keep scrolling down and there's more. Okay, finally found the end of that one. That's a huge, oops. Okay, I'm going to execute this one, and this one's going to take a while. Wow. I think this one's almost halfway through running. It's a little bit slow on my computer. Okay, that one finished. That was super long. And now it's having trouble. Not sure why. Hmm. Hmm. There we go. Now I'm going to copy in my customer values. Hopefully there aren't too many of those. There's a lot of them. Okay. 1,300 of those. Oops. Okay. Paste those in and execute again. Okay. I think a smaller data file would have probably been a little easier, but I do think this one is good because it allows us to do some interesting queries. So okay, customer values are almost done. There it goes. Okay. Now I'm going to get my invoice values. All right. Paste those in. Okay, about 3,000. And execute. And while that's going, I think all I have left in the text file is the LG line. On the bottom, see, that's it. Yep, they're all LG line. 11,000 of them. All right, that'll take a while too. Okay, as this is running, this is going to take a little while. Let me, I can expand this down here. Oops. Well, okay, as that is running, let's go ahead and let you. You had mentioned that you had a couple of other questions. What other questions can I answer for you while that's working? Did you have some other questions that you wanted to ask? Okay, that one's finished. Query completed. Okay. And this last one is going to take about as long as any of them have taken. Maybe longer. Okay. So this is putting the invoice lines in. Okay. Okay. Hopefully it will look more clear to you once we finish this broadcast, and it'll save it to YouTube, and I think the quality might look a little bit better to you in that, because then it can buffer a little bit, and it can kind of do some automatic things to improve the clarity. Yes, that's exactly what I did. I created the tables one by one by copying the create table statements and pasting them into there. And then I populated them one table at a time by copying the insert statements from the text file and pasting them into my little query window. And again, that should look a lot more clear when you view it later. Any other questions? Okay. Anything that starts with that / and an asterisk, that's a comment in the file. So if MySQL sees something like that, it's going to ignore it because it has it's a comment in the code. So MySQL doesn't do anything with that. So if you see something like that, you don't need to copy that in, because MySQL is going to ignore it anyway. Only the statements in there that actually start with keywords, like create table or insert into. Those are keywords in MySQL that tell it something, and all of those always end with a semicolon, and that tells MySQL that the statement is over. Yes, I hope that that will be clear when you see the YouTube video. Um, I don't necessarily know what to say there because I can't do anything to fix the clarity here. Um, but based on the one that was recorded last time, I think the clarity was fairly good. So I hope that that it will here as well. And I know when you're watching a YouTube video, that YouTube automatically does some things to improve the clarity of something that you're watching. I think this might be finished or close to finished. Okay, that's good. Then I'll go ahead and stop this broadcast as soon as the queries finish running, just to make sure everything worked correctly. But I'll post the YouTube link as soon as it's finished going. It usually takes it a few minutes to compile it and to create the YouTube video.